Hello, my name's Chris McDermott. I'm the lecturer on this program. We've been looking at education culture, and what I've absolutely loved is working with the students here. They all come from the University of Connecticut and they're postgraduate students. They have a variety of backgrounds, as you will find out, some elementary or primary, as we would call them in this country, and others high school or secondary, as we would call them in this country. But all of them have made a tremendous contribution to the course. My own background as a primary and secondary school principal as well as teacher. I've worked all around the world. I worked for a number of years in Sweden, a number of years in Dubai. I've spoken at education conferences in China, in the United States. I've delivered in-service training in Kenya, and I've recruited teachers from New Zealand. I've loved working with these students. They are the very, very best ambassadors America could ever have. Thank you for the privilege of working with you, all of you.
Hi, my name's Annika Pearson. I'm from Connecticut and I live with my parents and my brother and sister. I'm a master's student at the University of Connecticut in elementary education with a concentration in English, and I'm interested in working with 3rd or 4th grade students. I did my presentation on school funding and resources and how this impacts academic performance, because I've seen that there's a huge discrepancy in funding and resources across districts in Connecticut, and my conclusion is that we need to do more to fund schools that need more resources. I'm grateful for the experience of being able to study abroad and to teach in London. I've got the opportunity to travel to different countries in Europe, and I also feel like I'm a more well-rounded educator now. One thing I love about London is there are so many different things to do here. It's been fun to live in a city. There's so many different restaurants and museums and places to go.
I primarily like working with the younger grades as well as with multilingual learners. So for my final presentation, I worked with Georgia, and we did a presentation on how educational vocabulary affects the expectations of both students and teachers in the classroom. And we chose this subject because in our London placement, our internship, we noticed that the expectations of students are much different than what we have experienced in the US. So we're more interested in looking deeper into that and how vocabulary affects those expectations. I have just loved living in London. I feel like I've grown so much. And after this experience, I hope to continue to travel and to just keep growing as an educator through trying these new experiences and learning new perspectives.
Hi, my name is Georgia Mikan. I was adopted from China but raised in Connecticut. I'm an elementary education major, specialized in social studies. I am going for my master's in curriculum and instruction currently. My final presentation for this semester examined the shifting academic language educators use and how it impacts expectations placed on both students and teachers. I feel so grateful and privileged to be able to live and teach abroad through this experience, and I've met so many amazing people and now want to continue to travel.
Hi, my name is Lexi Smolinski. I am a high school math teacher. Currently, I've been working at Hampstead Secondary School. Most of what I do is pulling out kids to give them extra math support. For my final project, I researched the history of refugee students and sanctuary schools in the UK. Me and my partner Savannah, we chose to work on that because of our work at Hampstead School. We've been working with a lot of refugee students, and Hampstead is currently working towards receiving the award of a sanctuary school. So we were just really interested in learning more on the history of that and what efforts have been made to help these students adjust to their new life here. So it was kind of cool to see the progress that had been made from previous revisions about how, like with the Belgians in World War I, they just didn't really even consider education, to now they have this whole award that schools are working toward to make sure these students are comfortable in the UK. As far as my favorite part about London and being here, I really have just loved every second of it. Seeing the diversity of the city, just getting to live in a city in general. My hometown is very small. I really just loved every second of it.
Hi, my name is Savannah Johnson. I am a secondary English educator and I'm from Southeast Connecticut. And for this final project, I did a dual project with Lexi Smolenski, and we talked about sanctuary schools in the UK, and then we contrasted it to our experience at our internship at Hampstead School. Sort of broadly, we reviewed the history of sanctuary schools, what the role the government plays in sort of protecting these students and integrating them into the schools. And then we sort of looked at it in practice and spoke with the administration at our school and just within the SEND department, which is sort of where we were based and where we were working out of for the past 3 months. I specialized a little bit more with working with EAL students and sort of gauging and assessing where they were at in terms of English and their comfort level, and then sort of creating these specialized lessons that sort of met them at their needs. Sort of more specifically, we found that these students do tend to struggle because there is a lot of pulling them out of their other core classes. So they're creating these gaps in their education there, while with the, great intent of trying to get them more comfortable in the school by improving their English. But it was just very interesting to see, as an American, how the UK system works here and how they handle diversity, which I think to some extent is still better than American schools do in terms of making space for these kids.
Hi, I'm Kaylee. I am a master's student with UConn. I'm from Massachusetts, and I am an elementary teacher, working mainly with a preference for like the younger grades, so grades 1 through 3, or here year 2 through year 4. My project that I did was on classroom and behavior management between the US and the UK. Because I noticed there weren't not too stark of a difference, but the UK was a little different from what we see in the US in terms of specifically relationships, and I wanted to look more into that, and conclusions from that were it's pretty similar what they're taught in teacher prep programs, and with they're talking about the ABCs, so the antecedent, the behavior, and the consequence, or reward systems. We used similar ones like Class Dojo, but I did notice that the theory was practiced slightly different in the UK, with some strategies being a little more strict than we see at home, and it's very much teacher at the front of the classroom, and students are very, they just kind of sit there. And sometimes they do some turn-in talks, but we do see in the US, we see a big move for having a facilitation of student dialogue in a flipped classroom. And so it's more student-centered, but obviously that's not to say one is better than the other. Both work very well in the systems that they are operating in. A positive experience from my time here, I would say, is my school that I've been interning at, which is Broadfield's primary school, has just been awesome. Everyone has been so welcoming and supportive there, and I can't ask for a better experience with them.
Hi, my name is Emma Blair. I'm from Connecticut. I am a music teacher. I'm going to be certified K through 12, but generally I'm focusing on secondary. My presentation was about American cognitive isolationism and how that has impacted foreign perceptions about America. I was interested in that topic after coming to the UK and feeling like I was observing some prejudices from British people about Americans. So I was interested in looking into that more. And my results and conclusions from that presentation are that the American cognitive isolationism theory does account for a lot of Americans, but generally is a generalization and does not cover a lot of the youth and their mindsets. I'm grateful for this experience having come here. I am looking forward to seeing how what I've learned in this different context affects my worldview as a teacher.
Hi, my name is Micaiah Robinson. My specialty is in secondary English education. I'm from Connecticut, which is the state where my university is. My background while I've been here, so I've been working in a secondary school, specifically in a special educational needs department. which I have very much enjoyed, which is why I did my final project on special educational need departments in the UK and how that compares to what I know about special education departments in the States. I learned a lot about the different context and the history of special educational needs in the UK, which is very different from my experience in secondary schools in the US, where I'm more so focused just on a traditional English literature classroom. One thing that I've learned, I've just generally learned a lot about special educational needs and working more directly with those students in a pull-out setting and more so a resource room, which is very different than what I've done at home.
Hi, my name is Veronica Reyes. I'm from New York and I'm a Puerto Rican Italian. I am currently an elementary teacher. I concentrate in English, and I'm working and interning at Longfield Primary School in Harrow. My final presentation was on nutrition education, comparing the US versus the UK. I've learned in the end that there's actually a lot of similarities between them. And I chose this topic because in the spring at UConn, I'm doing a graduate assistantship with Husky Sport Nutrition. So it was a great segue into my internship there. My favorite part about teaching in the UK is seeing my year one students and the high expectations that are set for them and how incredible their writing is. And I'm going to take a lot of those practices into my future teaching.
Hi, my name is Linda Nelson. I'm from Connecticut. I am a music education student and I hope to teach in secondary schools. Right now I am interning at the Queen Elizabeth School and in the music department. My final presentation was on comparing the US and UK curriculums and how they went about world music from non-Western contexts. It was really interesting to hear some of my classmates' opinions on like how music teachers should go about that, what's appropriate, and like, you know, their experiences with that kind of thing, and you know, what went on in their schools. One of the most enlightening experiences about being here has been seeing the music department at the Queen Elizabeth School, because it is a very high-level grammar school. They're obviously well-funded and there's very good enrollment, and it was really refreshing to see what a music department can be, because most of the time when you're in the States, they have limited resources, limited enrollment. So it's really cool to see what can be done in a really strong music program.
Hello, my name is Camille Terrell. I'm a grad student from the University of Connecticut, and I'm specializing or focusing in secondary English. So I've spent my time here in London working at Queen Elizabeth's Grammar School for Boys, working with year 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 13 on some of their English classes with different texts like The Tempest, Lord of the Flies, A Christmas Carol. And I've also spent time helping students who are interested applying to American universities work on their essays and applications. So it's been a really nice experience and kind of contrast as I get to learn about how schools teach English here and how they teach and go into depth with literature and content and contextualizing everything, which has been really interesting. And then also kind of learning the differences between the application process for UK schools and American schools and all of those different things. My project for this class on the entrance exams, or the 11+ exams, because I was very interested in the accessibility that those exams have and how students reach grammar schools such as the one I'm at.
Hello, my name is Carter Newman. I am an elementary education major, and then I'm also a graduate student in my graduate degree in curriculum and instruction. So I would say for part of my background, I was raised like Black American, but my father actually is from England, so I sometimes can say I'm half English depending on the crowd. What I did for my final project, I did educators that were in the Black minority ethnic group within the UK, and then compare that to minority educators within America. And we just talked about like the trends and similarities we saw and how that really starts from going through K-12 education and what that plays out into going to higher education. I thought it was just really informative. Being in the UK, I would say the biggest thing I saw is how intense the curriculum and the content truly is, and I think that has major benefits on students being able to like find a mastery level of their understanding. But at the same time, I do think that there are some awesome innovations and mechanisms that we have within the United States that could be very beneficial as well in the UK.